Today we're talking about the creative process with Nathan Beam, frontman from the band Hoyle. This is episode number 22 of the Sustainable Ministry Show. It's really good to fail. Awesome. Well, let's get going.
Sweet.
Well, hey, everybody. We are back again at the Sustainable Ministry Show and hanging out with Nathan Beam. Nathan Beam is currently a singer in a band called Hoyle. Some of you may be familiar with that, and if not, certainly encourage you to check that out. Before we jump into all that good stuff, Nathan, we just take a few minutes and tell us who you are. Maybe give us the 2-minute biography.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, my name's Nathan Beam. It's great to be here. I've been looking forward to talking with Bryant again and, talking with you and everything. I grew up in Florida, in a small town called Melbourne. I grew up in Melbourne Beach area, grew up in the church, and it was a really good experience. It was a wild one. I had an interesting family. My dad is kind of a wild guy in the sense that he's a little Southern tornado who loves social justice and the Lord Jesus Christ. And my mom is great, and I got plugged into a great church. And while I was there, I was very bad at music, but there was a guy, Bryant Johnson, who was my youth pastor, and he told me like, hey, we'll let you get on stage and do this. And it was through that time that I really developed what I felt like was a creative gifting. And if not gifting, I was just disciplined enough to keep doing it until people listened to me within music. And that was great. I moved from there to Gainesville, Florida, where I served at Campus Crusade, was involved with the church there. During that time, I started writing music under the moniker Hoyle. It was pretty bad at the beginning, and then we just kept going, and we released an EP that was okay. And then we released an album that people dug. And after that, moved to Orlando, started a recording studio, worked in some marketing efforts, and now I'm still there. I work with a creative agency over there called Find Some Winmore, and I also travel and play music around the country. That's pretty much the 2 minutes.
So I'm curious, though, when you started with music back in middle school, high school, how did that start? Like, did you just think, oh, I love music, I'm going to get into it? Or was there something else going on?
It's a great question. At the point in time I started music, I was like b-ball kid, like sports shorts all the time, like a little shirt. But I was at a student life conference, and there was this guy singing Joel something, and he was like, hey, if you pray for a gifting, you might get it. And I remember being like, that's not true. You know what I mean? Like that can't possibly be true. And it was there that we didn't have a worship leader or anything at the church. So I was just like, all right, Lord, well, I'm the most unlikely person to be musically anything. So I asked for it. And then within the next week, I got a guitar, just kind of started messing around. And then I got plugged in with the church. They needed someone to play. They just needed warm bodies on the stage. And then I just kept doing it. And that's how it started for me. That's how the journey began.
And would you say your first album was a Christmas album?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You're a true fan right here. So yeah, man, I just real inspired by Christmas. No, but we, in understanding, my first groups were actually 2 rap groups, which were equally just horrible. And then, we decided to make a joke Christmas album that was supposed to be the worst album ever made. And I think it may be. So if you're interested in some great, bizarre Christmas music, look up Terry and the Bandits on MySpace. It's great. Just a classic album, I would say.
Is it actually still out there?
I think so. It's much like all those things that you want to go away, like your live journal account, but you find it later. It's terrible. So yeah, it's still out there, and I don't think I can ever get rid of it. The internet is forever.
Well, maybe I'm sorry for bringing it up then.
Don't be.
It was fantastic.
It's a part of me. Yeah, I love it.
And I feel like it's okay to say too, Nathan, like back at that time, there was something unique in your leadership when it came to music. There was something unique about that. And I don't know if I said this to you before, but people responded, people were drawn to it. Your ability to interact with people through music is it's top notch. It's the best. there's just a way that you do that that people are engaged, and it almost feels like this. Maybe this is strange, but it almost feels like anybody who's participating is kind of like your buddy,
Mm, yeah.
and can hang out with you, and that's a gift that you bring, and it's special and it's unique.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank you.
yeah, yeah, I love it. I love it. And so to see Hoyle and see the new Simple Pleasures, right? To see the new album drop and the
Yeah.
new songs. If folks have not checked that out, check it out.
Thank
Listen to it. Denial, of those three, I got to tell you, Denial is my favorite.
you. Good. Good. I like that. It's just a hook. It's just a hook. So like we hope it landed. I'm happy it did.
Yeah, it was cool. What is there a theme to the new music? The last album seemed to kind of focus on relationships a bit.
Hmm.
Is there a theme
Yeah,
to the new one?
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there is. I think the most. So I guess I'll give you a little bit more depth. For the most part, we wanted to make kind of a Warhol-esque album in the sense that it's just pop music, and we wanted. So that's why everything's fruit themed. And like, if you look at any of the album artwork, it's like all what you could just. It's a poster you could put up. But honestly, there wasn't a lot of depth in that. I think what we wanted to do was we wanted to just make a simple pop album. But as I was writing the lyrics, I ended up diving a lot into the idea of wrong path, right thing, where I think people can go through really bad experiences and still find the right stuff. I don't think it's a fully lived out idea. I mainly just talk about it through um, relationships and drinking too much and saying things you shouldn't and doing things like that. And the whole point of it is this: like all the things that I've been sold as simple pleasures, whether it's getting wasted with my buds or sleeping with girls, none of those things are actually simple pleasures. They all have a lot of baggage like that come
Mhm.
around them. So
Yeah.
like that's essentially the thing. I wanted to make an album that's like, this is simple, it's poppy, it's fun, it's easy to listen to, but at the end of the day, I think that there are a lot of things that we don't consider that we carry over, and we're just gonna, we don't think about it. I don't know if pleasure is all simple. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of the idea. But for the most part, though, I don't think people are gonna really think about that. I think they're gonna listen to the music and go to the beach, which is what I hope for. Like because it's happy, it's like happy music. But then you read the lyrics and you're like, oh, this is kind of messed up. No, so like it's fine. Yeah, yeah,
It's certainly much more complex than
yeah. I don't. It might just be convoluted, to be honest with you. I think that might be the right thing to say, but yeah, that's kind of the idea.
there you go. Well,
Yeah.
walk us through, if you don't mind, walk me through like how does it become music?
Yeah. Hmm.
What's that process look like? How does something go from whether it's an idea or a tune in your head to something that is then dropped on iTunes? Like,
Yeah,
what's
that's
that entire creative process look like?
that's a great question. So normally, what I'll do is it's one of two things. So there's a really interesting book right now. I think it's called Creative Magic or something, and it reflects on this idea that creativity and ideas like float through the air. And this is just like an idea. I don't actually believe that this is like necessarily like reality or scientific or spiritual either. But the idea hits you, and if you choose to accept it, you have a limited amount of time to run with it. So normally, what happens is I'll wake up in the middle of the night with some idea, and I'll grab my phone. I'll be like, "Hey," and then it goes, and then the bumpa. And then like I'll wake up the next morning and hope to God it makes sense. You know what I mean? Just like be like, Lord, help me. And then uh-oh. Am I still with you?
Yeah, you're here.
Great, great, great. Sorry, I just jumped out real quick. My other calendar popped up. Okay, so back to it. So that's one way. The other is discipline, man. I think it was Hemingway who said this. He goes, everybody gets creative. I just happen to get creative at 9 a.m. every morning. So I think that the idea is like I just sit down sometimes and I'll just go on to the recording software and I'll start working on a song and I'll just build it. And normally what I'll do is I'll build a verse. I'll build all the necessary elements: the verse, the pre-chorus, the bridge, the chorus, and then I'll bring it to the band. I'll see what they think. It's interesting with the guys. I write with two guys, Corey Chin and Patrick Chin, the Chin brothers. So that's all of Hoyle. It's me and them. And we will write it, but it's funny. I'll send it to them and we have to go like back and forth. It's like I have to sell them on the idea sometimes and they have to sell me on my own ideas. So I'll be like, this song's horrible, or whatever. We then take it from that moment. We might jam it out, but normally I take it directly to my producer, Jeremiah Dunlap, and we sit down and work on it. The guys come in, lay down drums and guitar. Jeremiah and I will lay down everything else unless we're too bad at it, in which we will hire someone to come in and play bass or do something like that. So on this record, we had a great bassist. Eric Hall came in and did some stuff. AP Harris was our keyboardist, was absolutely instrumental in so much of it. And then we had some really great vocalists come in and work on some of the choir stuff. So that's normally the process. It's inception at the idea, then it's discipline throughout the process, like creating the idea,
Yeah.
and then it's all based in finalization. So those are three things to fall through on.
Yeah, it's interesting, like how important discipline is to creativity, and having some kind of rhythm in which you work through that. It's interesting to hear that piece, because in my mind, I'm not extremely creative by any means, and I feel like creativity is just this explosion of awesomeness that tends to happen in folks. But to hear you talk about the discipline that goes into that too is certainly important. Do you feel like the work is done? Like, I've heard other artists say they look at the work and feel like it's not complete, no matter how much time they've spent on it. Do you have that same sense, or do you feel like, oh, yes, we brought this together, this is what it is?
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Like, even now, like, the biggest regret I have in this whole interview is that I told you what I thought Simple Pleasures was about. Because at the end of the day, I think, like, because here's the reason why. It's not like I'm ashamed of my idea of it.
Yeah.
It's just that it's like, once you release art, it isn't yours anymore. Like, it doesn't matter what I think the record's about. It doesn't really matter at all. Like, it is what everyone else wants it to be. And I know that really frustrates some people, not just artists, but people who are like, I just want to know what you mean. And it's like, well, honestly, it means what, like, this is a soundtrack to what you're doing. So if your mom is diagnosed with cancer and you hear this song, this suddenly becomes a soundtrack to that. But if you get, the girl you're in love with says yes to when you get engaged, this is a soundtrack to that. So I think there is a moment when it is done for me, but I think it's rediscovered in the stories of other people that I hear. And I think that that's an art in itself. It's also rediscovered in the live experience. So I say with the recording, sure, it's done. I mean, even up until releasing the song Warm Gun, we were going to remix it totally and make it like a Paul Simon Graceland song. The last moment, thank God, our licensing agency was like, stop it. Like, we're releasing the song. And I was like, oh, okay. Cause it'd been 3 years since we'd released anything. So, yeah, I'd say there is a moment when it's done as far as recording, but I think that the art, much like energy, it just lives on. It just keeps like going. You know what I mean? Like, there is almost like this essence to it. And I think that I relive my own art through other people, which makes me really grateful. Yeah.
I love it. It sounds like, as you talk about it, I don't know if you offer it as a gift, but it sounds like it's a gift that's given to other people, and folks are invited into that. I certainly, from the first album, the Christmas album.
Yes, bless you. Yeah,
my wife and I we listened to, and
Lord. Yeah.
to the first Hoyle album to the new one, right? Like, it, we enjoy it, and it speaks to us. The song "Little Things" I think is probably one of my favorite off of the first album. Yeah, I just love it. But it speaks to us. So whether you see it as a gift, I think it is a gift. And I think not to just talk praises, but I'm a huge Nathan Beam fan anyway.
Thank you.
And like, to see folks, somebody from elementary school posted on your Facebook recently. It just is a joy to be around you.
Thank you.
At some level, you speak joy into other people's lives, and that comes through in the music.
Thank you.
Right, and whether that's an intention where you say, you know what, I'm just gonna make make good fun music for people to to like bop their heads to. I think what ultimately happens is you get to speak into their lives, and people see that, and it may not be the word you would hope for, but it speaks, and that's where, like, even from back in high school, like, you're leading worship, and like, you engage folks from the stage in a way that it's just unique. It's not that other people don't do it; it's unique. It's your style.
Thank you.
So all that said, I'm curious. One more question: is there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, what's the biggest challenge in the creativity process then? Where do you find yourself kind of wrestling with things, struggling with things as you're, whether it's developing a new song or I know you do some writing as well, but like, as you're going through that, what's the roadblock for you?
That's a good question. I'm going to jump into like what's actually the hardest thing for me,
Yeah.
because I could give you answers about like technical things, but honestly, it's like I think the struggle is like what is the purpose of writing, and I think that's just like a common human struggle. But particularly being a Christian, I think that there's a massive dilemma that I see within culture where like I feel like the church can't keep up with culture and shouldn't necessarily keep up with culture. And I feel like a lot of the silver bullets I was given are not actually silver bullets. And I don't think Jesus ever wanted those to be given as silver bullets. You know,
Right.
like I don't like blame you or anything like that, but just the idea like if you follow these 5 steps, you'll be happy. Because in my art, I want people to be happy in the creative process. I want to create something like you said, like whether it's like it's just how God built me. Like I love seeing people come together. I don't really want to. I don't really like the idea of I like contemporaries. I don't like competition. You know what I mean? Like I like everybody pushing each other forward. So in the creative process, I want to do that. And it becomes hard sometimes because I can be given to despair in certain moments, and to the idea of like, what is the purpose and the point of doing this? And it can be really hard. So I think the thing for me has been, I just love Jesus. I think he gave us the freedom to fail. And I think that like with that being known, I think that once I'm comfortable with the freedom to fail and I view failure as a currency, something that I have to go through and spend to get what I need to get to. Like, then I'm able to go forward. But that's really hard for me to get to because I feel insecure or I feel hopeless. I feel this sense of like, what am I doing? Why does this matter? Who am I doing this for? There's a lot of double guessing, um, and then like what is this towards, like what am I like in singing these songs, what am I get like what am I helping people move towards? And honestly, I don't think that's really my responsibility. I think the Spirit does what the Spirit wants to. I think God knows everything. I don't think he's panicking. Like, if I release a stupid song, like I don't think he's like freaking out, and heaven, like I didn't expect this. Like it's just like it's like where did this come from? So I think the hardest part of the creative process is like aspiring to the right thing. And I think the thing to aspire to is God is good and he like loves us. And I think he desires that we are free to make what we want to make. And yeah, I think that's the hardest thing for me is like just reminding myself it is okay to fail. And at some points it's really good to fail. Yeah.
Yeah. God created and God creates and invites us into that. And we get to be a part of it. And that is awesome.
Yeah.
Even, I mentioned before we started, my greatest like creative contribution is a triangle to a cork board. I can cut that out of a piece of construction paper. But whatever the ability is, we're invited to create. And that's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So how can people keep up with you and with Hoyle? Where can they find you? Where can they check out the music?
Yeah, I'd say the most meaningful place to follow me is probably on Hoyle's Instagram or Twitter, and that's at Hoyle Music. If you want to follow me, you're free to. Honestly, all of my social media is just my best of Snapchat, and so like if you want to follow it, it's weird. It's really bizarre though, very very bizarre. So I'm pretty private on my Snapchat, so don't follow me there. But go to at the letter N, the letter D, and then Beam. So ND Beam on Instagram or Twitter.
Nice.
Yeah, I'd love to connect with you. Yeah, that's it.
And then Hoyle on SoundCloud.
Hoyle is on SoundCloud. Yeah, I should probably tell you where you can listen to the music. Yeah, Hoyle's on SoundCloud. Hoyle is also on Spotify. So check us out on Spotify. There's also a rapper named Hoyle, so you can check out both of us. He's great. So like either one of us, just like dive in there and feel it out. But yeah, check us out on Spotify or on SoundCloud. The best, honestly, Spotify would be the best because the more listens we get, the more that brands are likely to license our music. So help us out, boost those numbers. Yeah, that's great.
Nice. And if you really love it, you guys can support Hoyle through iTunes, right?
That's right. Yep.
Google Play as well, I think.
Yep. We're on every platform, so go out and check it out. No physical copies, so just digital. Go check it out. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
And if you would, if you listen to this podcast, don't forget to subscribe. You can subscribe to the Sustainable Ministry Show on iTunes, on some versions of the Google Play Store. You can also subscribe on YouTube or Stitcher Radio as well. So check that out. Hey, Nathan, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me today. It's been a gift.
Hey, absolutely, man. Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
God bless, long live. Never thought we'd reach the end of it. You always loved it when I'd come around. Oh girl, I guess we were stuck in the thick of it.
How are you doing, man? How's life? Tell me the top 3 things. I want to know.
Top 3 things. Number 1 is seeing you today. I'll put that
There
out
we
there
go.
right now.
There we go. Thank you. I accept it fully, 100%.
That's number 1. Number 2 is the work with ministry architects. I just love.
Yeah.
I just love. We've got a few churches that I've fallen in love with this year and have been able to partner with. And the light is super bright behind me.
Yeah. You're glowing.
So that's been a huge joy. And then I started, now that we're living up here, I started mountain biking.
Oh, yes.
Love it. Love it.
Unbelievable.
So,
Unbelievable.
you?
What's the top 3? I wish I was mountain biking, man. That's incredible. Like, are there any trails that have the insane drops where you have to go like 6 feet down, like, you know what I mean, to like get back on the trail? Because my buddy mountain bikes and will tell me about that stuff. Is that like a real thing or is that a myth?
No, it's a real thing, man.
Okay.
And there's no like super hardcore stuff here in North Carolina, but there's a place I go that's got a lot of wood things. And it took me like probably 10 trips. It's this huge drop. It's like a wood platform and a drop into a hill that feels like it's like 30 feet, but it's like 3.
But the way everything sits, the depth perception, like,
Totally,
you know,
totally.
like mind meld, yeah.
So I go off and feel like superhero, and then I watch other people do it. I'm like, oh, it's nothing.
that's awesome. Yeah, I feel like that's like everything in life, though. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right.
This is so crazy. That's fun. No, man, that's awesome. Well, dude, I guess for me, top 3. Number 1, I'm super grateful to be on this, man. This is super cool. I'm really happy to connect with you and really honored. Yeah, this is great. And number 2, man, I just feel like grateful that I exist doing the weird work I do. I have like the resume of a heroin addict, so like it just been like jumping around doing like the weirdest jobs. But right now I work at a creative agency, and it's a lot of fun doing project management stuff for some music things. And then I guess Hoyle would be number 3. We're the greatest amateur band out of Florida. No, I don't know, but like we have it's good, man. We've been very blessed to do what we do, and to I don't know, we get to do it on terms that are agreeable to us, and it's fun, and people are very nice to us, so we're really grateful. So I'd say those are like the top 3 things. Yeah.